Hello, everybody, and welcome once again to World Law Alliance. Today, we're joined by Angela Calnan, who is a partner in Collas, Crill, a UK law company. And this is a law company with a multi-award-winning international private client and trust team in Guernsey. Angela has been head of that team since 2012, and now it's one of the largest teams of its type in Guernsey, which is an offshore tax jurisdiction between France and the UK. And it's ranked at tier one by the EPI private client. It ranked at a tier one private client firm. Angela's core strengths, as recognized by those who work with her and know her, are in establishing, reorganizing, and winding up Guernsey trust and foundation structures. This includes pension schemes and gratuity schemes, and also, very helpfully, assisting the trustees in navigating the complex administration of these structures in accordance with their fiduciary duties. As a former litigator prior to moving to Guernsey, she developed an instinct, if you like, a skill at spotting what would be problem issues early, and then assisting the trustees and beneficiaries to resolve these issues before they escalated into full-blown problems. Spotting the problems before they occur and resolving them. Angela's been a solicitor in England and Wales since 2003. She's also an advocate of the Royal Courts of Guernsey since 2020, and she's listed as a leading individual in the Legal 500. So, Angela, my first question to you is, I wonder if you'd like to share a little about your journey and experience as a woman lawyer in the legal field.
Great, yes, of course. Hi, thank you, Richard, and hello, everybody. Lovely to have been invited to join you. In terms of journey and experience, and I won't speak for long on this, but really humble beginnings for me. I just went to the local comprehensive. My dad was in the military. My mum worked on the checkouts in our local supermarket. So in terms of social mobility, which is really high on the agenda for firms now, you know, giving people from all strata of society access to education and career progression, you know, for me that is something that's always been on my radar, coming from where I came from. So yeah, just went to the local comprehensive school, did okay there. Went on to do my undergraduate in law at the London School of Economics, and then on to do my postgrad at the College of Law in Guildford in Surrey, which was very enjoyable. Then I went on and trained at Pennington's Manches in the UK. And that was in the year 2000. And again, you know, probably before its time, really, we had an amazing female managing partner across the group, the late Leslie Lintott. So again, of its time, the firm was really, really progressive in terms of female leadership, and that being on the radar. So I've been a solicitor now for over 20 years. And I have to say, Richard, and this is no exaggeration, I've enjoyed every single day of my practice. So very varied job. Anybody that's looking to come into law, whatever gender, I think it's a fantastic career. Every day is varied, and it really is a really enjoyable and wonderful path to tread. So that's my journey.
Well, I was wondering, you moved from being a litigator, constant stress and battles, into dealing with finance. Was that a big cultural change for you?
I think in terms of stress levels, the sort of stress drivers are quite different, really. I think with litigation, you know, you get paid to take the burden of the stressful situation from the client, and it's very deadline heavy. With what I do now, perhaps the time pressure is less, but sometimes the stakes can be higher. what we deal with on a day-to-day basis is we manage the transition of wealth for families from one generation to the next. So quite often we're dealing with patriarchs and matriarchs who have spent their lifetimes building a business that they care so deeply about and are so invested in, financially and emotionally. And our job is to carefully and gently navigate moving that wealth to the next generation. So I think the time pressure is less, but but sometimes the stakes can be higher, and it's a longer game. It's a long-term relationship. That.
Tell me, in your opinion, coming from your perspective and where you are now, working in the legal field that you do, what are some of the key issues or barriers that women face in the legal field today? And I'd be very grateful for any advice you could give as to how these challenges could be addressed or mitigated.
Yeah, I think for me, I've always taken gender off the agenda, or really tried to. And not made it a part of the working day. So if myself or somebody within the team needed to take time off sick for sort of a female issue, I would never describe it as that. I would just say, I'm not feeling well today, something like that. So not make it a gender specific thing. And that's always served me very well. I sit on our global strategic board. There are other women on that board, really strong women, and gender really doesn't come into our day to day. I think it would be different, say, for example, a catastrophic thing like, if there was a miscarriage or somebody was going for fertility treatment or something like that. But actually, that affects both genders or both partners in a relationship in the same way. So I think those very serious issues, we treat people the same. But I think for me, the way that I've played it through my career and has served me really well is for it just not to be on the agenda. It just not to be something that I bring to the forefront. And we're very pro equality within the firm, whether that's gender or any other potentially discriminatory areas.
So you haven't had to deal with a sort of glass ceiling sort of situation within the firm?
No, and I think maybe controversially, maybe unusually, but in our firm, a lot of the sort of women have taken sort of some time off to have children, have a family, had a career break, and it's we're very, very encouraging of those returning to work, to be given the opportunity to get on the board, to join the partnership. I think having a really diverse voice around the table makes us much better decision makers. And we all approach things in a very different way. So I think we've recognised that as a business for a long time. And actually, we're very pro-diversity. So for me, maybe it's the firm I'm in, maybe it's Guernsey, but it's there hasn't been that glass ceiling for me. And perhaps I've been very fortunate.
Well, perhaps also it's a reflection of your ability. I think you may be being over modest, because I've got something now to put you on the spot. Could you highlight a significant milestone or achievement in your legal career that you're particularly proud of?
That is putting me on the spot a little bit. I think I would say two things, and thank you for the question. They have both been actually when I've really had to go out of my comfort zone and challenge myself and do something that actually I didn't want to do at all. But the outcome in both of these things were probably the best things I've ever done in my working life. So the first one, I was very, very happy at Pennington's, lovely firm. I had an incredible boss, Mike Cash, you know, one of the best lawyers I've ever worked with, an amazing mentor. So I was really happy at Pennington. There's no reason to leave, but an opportunity arose for me to move to Abu Dhabi with my career. And that was terrifying. I didn't even really know where it was very worried about going there as a woman. Didn't know how that would work out. But I went for that, and it worked out really brilliantly. So having been there, that took me on to Singapore. I've been able to go to Doha, Geneva. I'm off to Riyadh soon with my career, and those doors opened because I decided to leave the UK practice and try overseas. So that was a significant milestone. And the other one, I think, was taking the Guernsey bar exams in my sort of mid-40s, where Guernsey's quite a small place, and only I think 10 or 12 people are allowed to take the bar each year. It involves learning French, which I'm terrible at, and if they're notoriously hard exams, and if you don't pass, it's a very public
Everybody
failure.
knows.
You know, as soon as you sort of get the results, you pop down to Waitrose to get your shopping, and you know, everybody's sort of talking about it. So it's horrifying. But to put yourself in that situation, so when I was studying for the exams, people used to call me and one of my other senior colleagues mum and dad when we would take studying, because everybody else around the table was in their, you know, early 20s taking the exams, you know, completely full grey matter, very used to, you know, the modern technology way of studying and things. So that was a stressful one. But again, having done that, and it's wonderful in your later years to do something just for yourself. It's such a luxury, and it was challenging, but again, so rewarding. So yeah, I think those would probably be the two.
Okay, well, going back to the first one of going out of becoming an international lawyer, which is, you know, what you are, what you became. What advice would you give to aspiring women lawyers who are just starting out on their careers?
I would say work hard. Don't make excuses. You know, be accountable for your efforts. So that's the first thing. You know, just be the best, or be the best that you can. You know, every piece of work that you're given, don't just complete it, exceed expectations, really try and shine, and you know, be helpful to your senior colleagues that are relying on you to do a good job. And then, you know, you will get spotted and you will get given opportunities. And so I think really putting in the long yards in the early years, not making excuses, getting your nose to the grindstone, you know, whatever gender, will pay dividends. And then, you know, if there's the opportunity for secondments, your name will be at the top of the list. If there's a really complicated transaction or litigation matter that comes in, you know, you will be asked first, and then you know, your CV will flourish, and you know, you'll really stand out. But I think at the start of your career, when you're one of many at your level, the importance of just trying really hard and doing your best and making yourself shine is just so important.
Yeah. You've got to stick into the partner's memories.
Yeah,
the decision.
absolutely.
Well, last question then. Some general thoughts now from you on the World Law Alliance Women in Law Awards initiative. Got any thoughts about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think with these sorts of initiatives, what can be really powerful is when you go to the awards, it's a really brilliant way of all getting together and swapping stories and supporting each other and understanding, you know, how different firms approach gender, and what best practice there is and what poor practice looks like. So these awards are a great opportunity to all get together, learn from each other, support each other. I think that's fabulous. What controversially, and what I would love to see, and what I hope we're not a million miles away from is a level playing field where we don't have to lift each other up and have these gender specific awards. I think, you know, in 5-10 years time, hopefully it's not that far off, but it would be lovely if again it's just not on the agenda. But I think that's unrealistic at the moment, and I think the climate we're in, we really do need to swap best practice, get together, understand how different firms are approaching it. I mean, as I say, I'm really fortunate at Collas Crill. We are a young practice, we're progressive, we're pretty much equal in terms of the gender roles. But I think hearing from other firms that are maybe more traditional, hearing how the challenges that they're facing, and sharing some of the ways that we've been able to crack this, I think is great. And it's always, you know, good to meet new people and understand, you know, what my peers and contemporaries are facing and doing.
Well, Angela, unfortunately we've run out of time, and I mean, unfortunately, because unlike your career, you've packed a great deal into the short period of time. I could, you know, very happily just sit here for another half an hour, just
Likewise.
hearing what you have to say. Lots of issues where we kind of see. Well, there we are. I want to everybody. I want to thank Angela Calnan for joining us today. And Angela, thank you very much for your insight. I think some of those things you've said will be incredibly useful to young people, male or female, quite frankly, but young women in particular, starting out on their careers. And thank you very much for joining the World of Law Alliance today.
Absolute pleasure, Richard. Thank you so much. It's been great.
Thank you very much.